so you can't come in.
All right. We are live again on a Tuesday afternoon / Tuesday night, depending on what part of the world you're in.
And the
And it
last
is,
Tuesday of the year.
whoo-hoo, like, is this like a
Put
year?
2020 in the rear view mirror, please.
It's like this is kind of one of those years you want to put in the rubbish bin and just say, we're done with that. Let's move on, move forward. Like
No, actually,
2020,
but
it's been
Gillian,
a good year.
some people did really well this year. You know, so unfortunately for some people it was, and I don't want to minimize that. It was
Crap.
really disastrous for a lot of people. People, lost their jobs, people lost their businesses, and we know all that. And yet there were others who actually benefited by what had happened and were able to pivot their business. So I think that's the
And
big
had their best year yet.
Yes, and had their best year yet. So therefore, even we did really well in 2020 because we helped people who wanted to pivot their businesses. And so they needed the coaching more than ever. So therefore, probably some people say, well, I'd like it to repeat. And then there are others that would say, oh, it's in the rearview mirror. But you know what? It is in the rearview mirror, positive or negative. We're moving on. We're going into 2021. Like, oh my gosh, it's like, remember when we were in the 1900s, 1996, 98, and it was like, oh my gosh. And it's like, then we went into 2000s and it's like, oh my gosh, we're like 21 years past 2000 when we thought the world was going to blow up. Remember that?
I remember when we were like switching into like from 1999 to the year 2000 and like people thought, you're right, that everything would blow up. And it's like, I remember like
Your
I'd sprain my
clocks were, your
ankle.
computers were going to break, your phones, your digital, nothing would work.
People
Companies
were
would
selling
fall apart.
kits. They were selling kits like it was like the year 2K or something.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
gosh. But we
But
are
they were prepared. And that's the whole thing. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know. But because we had a warning, people could prepare. And unfortunately, this time last year, when we were starting to see what was happening in China, everybody, west of it was ignored. Yes. It's like, oh, I was watching it on the news and saying, oh, wow, those poor people in China, not even thinking that one day that would be our story. So
Exactly.
the lesson learned is be prepared, because if you don't need it, it's okay, but it's better to be prepared than and not need anything. It's kind of like insurance. Why do we get insurance? We get insurance just in case your house burns down or, you get sick. If you don't need it, great.
Right. It's not a waste because you're just
It's never a waste.
It's just being prepared. So we weren't able to prepare for 2020 because nobody knew all this crazy stuff would happen. And we all handled it in one way. Even not handling it was handling it. We all did. Right. We reacted some way. Yes. But 2021, we can make a conscious effort of, okay, so we know we're stuck with this. This is not going away. It doesn't matter that there's a vaccine. We're still moving forward. We still have to kind of say, this is the new normal for who knows how long, but it is. If it changes and we're wrong and in 3 months, everything's back to the way it was before, okay, who cares? That's great. We're happy with that. But if it's not, we have to make those strategies. So one of the things we wanted to talk about today was our suggestion for moving forward, which is looking backward and looking forward all at the same time by tracking your thoughts in an online journal, because we have to talk about this.
Yeah, right. Yes. And I've started to do that because you introduced me to this coolest tool. So why don't you tell them about the tool before I tell you what I've been doing with this tracking my thoughts.
Let's see if I can actually share my screen, and let's see if I can do this. Okay, this is a new thing. Going to a Chrome tab, and let's see if we can go to Shelley. So we wanted to talk about Shelley Elsliger, who is one of my connections in Toronto, Canada, which is where we used to live, Janet, remember? Long
I
time
know.
ago. And
Think about that, eh?
oh yeah. And Shelley had put out this post a couple days ago, 3 days ago, about something called the Year Compass, which is a totally free booklet that you can download that allows you to reflect back on 2020 so that you can make a plan for 2021. So we're going to put a link to Shelley's post, and we will also put a link to the compass. Let's see if it'll show up. I hope it's showing up and not just still the same thing. But you can go through here and you can download this, and then that way you can get this cool little thing. So, okay.
Right, so you can print it off, and there's
Yes.
2 ways to print it off, and you
Yes.
can also just save it, and just if you have an editable PDF tool, then you can do it on there. So I just wanted to show that I actually printed it off. So
Very
it's
cool.
probably about, and I did the big version.
Like 20 pages, because there's like a supplement. If you want, you can get the bare bones version. But then there's also the COVID 2020 supplement, which I highly recommend everybody do, because you somehow moved through this. Even if you did nothing, doing nothing was a reaction. We all dealt with COVID. We all dealt with this year. And it's really important to mark down what you did with this, because this might affect you moving forward, or at least allows you to recollect what you went through this past year.
I can't imagine there's one person who wasn't affected by the pandemic, whatever country you lived in, by this. Like for me, it was really hard for me that I have this 19-month-old granddaughter, and probably the only granddaughter I'm ever going to have. And I would have gone, and she doesn't live in my town, and I would have been up to see her at least once a month, every month, so that she knows me and I can, watch all her stages. And I had to go months without seeing her, until one day I just said, I'm sorry, I can't wait any longer. And so I took the risk, and my husband and I drove to Chicago in order for us to see her. And so for me, that was probably one of the biggest things for me was my loss during that, but also that we made a decision to move towns because of what was going on. Well, we thought our house was too small. So we wanted to, upsize and have more land. But anyway, what I was going to say about starting this was, first of all, I started off on the printed version, and I quickly realized as I started it says going through your calendar, go through last year's calendar week by week, see if you have an important event, family gathering, friendly get together, or a significant project, write it down here. And I started out and I went, it's too much. This one page is not enough to document everything I did last year. So I had to go to the editable version, because it was the only way I could document everything. So that doesn't mean I can't come back and do these things, but it just went to prove to me, from a business perspective, a personal perspective, and like we travel, so where were all my travels last year? And it's not just for your business, it's also for your personal life.
True.
So I just realized that I needed that editable version as well, simply because, I just had too much to document. So that was an aha right there, that I had a pretty full year. I had a pretty full year despite everything. Now, granted, there were some things I did before we went into COVID, but even after that, there was tons of things that we did. And the people that we impacted that year, we did webinars, we did virtual workshops, we did
a Facebook challenge, like it was a brand new thing in the middle of the whole
we did a Facebook
pandemic.
We started this LinkedIn Live in the middle of the COVID time. So I don't know if we would have done that otherwise. So we got to think about that. But I think it's a really good tool for somebody when, because I've been talking about this in our newsletter and stuff, that you got to prepare for 2021. And no matter what business I've ever had, I've always, in December, took stock of like what went well that year, and then what did I need to do for the following year, because each year I want to be better, I want to know more, I want to fine tune my skills, and I want to make more money, and I want to make a better impact on people. So you have to document how you're going to do that.
I kind of think of it as like, when you go to a shopping mall and you're just like, you're overwhelmed, the whole shopping mall is huge. So you look for a directory and you look at all the stores, but you look for that little pin, that says you are here. And if you don't know where you are, you don't know how to get anywhere. And that's kind of like what this overview is. It's like, figure out where you've come, where you are right now, so that you can move into the future, move into 2021, kind of saying, okay, this is where I'm at this particular moment in time, and this is where I want to go.
Well, it'd be interesting to do this year, and then next year, like this time next year. So December, what date is it? 29, 2021.
Right.
Well, we can compare what did we say in December 2020 versus December 2021, so that we can say, wow, what did we do? Like, I don't think we had it on our plan to have a LinkedIn Live. We didn't plan to have a Facebook challenge. I didn't plan to move. My plan was I was going to just go see my and we were going to travel, and none of that happened. So if somebody had said to me, oh, you're going to move in 2020, like a fortune teller, I'd have said, you're crazy. We're not moving. We're quite happy here.
Exactly. So I think this is really important. And, I think this week, like, we have been sharing this with everyone we know, and it's kind of like a bit of a snowball. It's like we've told to someone, and they've told someone, and it's kind of like that old Breck commercial for your hair products. You tell two friends and they tell two friends, and so on and so on. And it's like, nobody's making any money off this. This is a free thing. They don't even collect an email address. And that's what I told everybody. I said, I can't believe this company. They put out this thing. They don't even make you give an email address. They're just like, here, click, download it. You're done. It's like awesome. And if you feel compelled to help them, you can give them a little bit, but
a donation or something,
a little donation or something. But we have been kind of sharing the word with everybody, because face it, most of us are in lockdown. Like, I spoke with a friend today first of all, Israel is in a total lockdown. We can't do anything. We're 1,000-meter tether from our houses. But just when you think it's bad, go talk to somebody else, because my friend who lives in South Africa, she was telling me you can't get alcohol. Like, their curfew.
That would be a fate worse than death.
Yeah, they banned alcohol, and you can't even meet with friends. You can't do anything. They got the curfew till 9 o'clock, and it's just like, well, at least I can sit here and drink my wine. So I'm going to drink my wine for New Year's. I can't go to any parties because we can't have any parties. And they don't really do New Year's in Israel. It's like, it's not our calendar.
We didn't do it. I don't do it back here either.
No,
we're just staying home.
This is a good year. You can't go do the, fancy Great Gatsby party, right, for New Year's. So this is a good year to sit home and, whatever, your coffee, your tea, your wine or champagne. They say
a hot beverage. So I was just thinking, hot cider and rum.
It's always leading to alcohol, isn't it? No hot chocolate.
We're so bad.
No hot chocolate in our vision. but it's a good time.
That'd be a hot chocolate martini.
Oh, there you go. There you go. But it's a good time to just sit there and fill out, because they actually say, don't they, when you print this, they say take what, 2 hours? Like they kind of
four.
And they even have a friend version. Like, if you're doing it as a group.
In a group. Yeah. Group version.
Your group could be your business partner. It could be your family, maybe you and your spouse, or your entire family, just anybody that you want to be. I think it's longer if you do it with a group, isn't it? Do you
Oh,
remember it?
it doesn't say.
Like
That might
four?
be on the website, because this is
Oh, okay.
just in the thing, and it doesn't say 4 hours here. Oh yeah, so yes, at least 3 hours of uninterrupted time to look back. That's in the individual version. At least 1 hour of uninterrupted time to plan the year. So a total of 4 hours.
Okay.
So 3 to look back, 1 to look forward. And then if you do the group version, then it's at least 4 hours of creative time. So you could kind of have some fun doing it with some friends in a group.
Yeah.
And then, and it says some favorite
Yeah.
pens. What's with the pens?
Well, for people who write, because I think sometimes for people, if you have colored pens, like I used to journal with gel pens, and like gel pens of different colors. And it was like when I gel penned with purple
Mm.
pens, it was hope, and black was boring, and blue was kind of cool. And, so I guess,
Oh, okay. Okay. That would be
color
fun.
colors can express you, and a lot of times it could be drawings, it could be anything. And if you think about it, wouldn't this be actually kind of a cool thing to do as a group in Zoom? You could even do this, like if you were by
Yes.
yourself, like if you were on New Year's by yourself and you don't have anybody to be with, this would be a great thing. Get a couple people together and you kind of have your mastermind, your 2021 mastermind of figuring out where you all came from. Maybe you want to share some stories. You could kind of take some breaks and like, okay, like let's go get some cheese and crackers and get the wine and bring it back and
Right.
talk about it.
Right.
But like what an interesting way, because if you think about it, you can only kind of piss and moan for so long. Like you can only sit and say, 2020 was horrible. It's like, you gotta let it go,
There's a silver lining in any of it for anybody, no matter if you had the worst experiences, horror stories. There somewhere along the way there was some silver lining. Somebody helped you, or something you saw something from a new perspective. Something
Yeah.
happened. There's always a silver lining, even in the worst challenges that we may have. And so it's up to us to find that. So yes, if you're doing it in a group setting, you could actually individually go back on your own and pull all the data of what your year
Yeah.
was. And then you could share with each other, like what
Yeah.
were the most
How
important
positive.
things. I think that would be awesome for a mastermind group.
I think it'd be great. It'd be great. And the thing that we talked about, if you don't mind the segue, because I want to just move us on to, we're talking about an online journal. And this is something that we strongly have been committed to for years. I think it was about 2016, 2017. We started using an online journal. We use a program called Penzu. We
Mhm.
have the pro version, but that's only because we wanted to have multiple versions. So we have multiple journals. But Penzu offers a free forever plan. And highly recommend that people think about starting 2021 with an online journal. And Penzu is awesome in that it's so easy to use. You just click, 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 click. You just type it in. It's totally private. You can share it with people if you so choose. So if you have particular entries you want to send those to people, they can read them. But it's totally about you and your thoughts, your goals, your dreams. And sometimes if we don't capture these ideas, they disappear. It's
Mhm.
like sometimes you're writing, like I know I was writing in my journal today, and I was writing about something and I went, why am I writing about this? So I was actually typing in real time going, why am I even typing about this thing that happened when I was 10? But I realized by time I was done that I needed to reflect on a moment in my life when I was 10 to understand something that I'm going through today when I am not 10 anymore. I'm a lot farther on the side of 10 than I care to admit. But but sometimes we have to, all of a sudden we get an idea for something and you just say, well, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? And the thing is that it might be a story that I want to now relate to somebody else, because they'll
Mhm.
say, oh, I get that. That's an aha for me. Or maybe that was a block. And until I could totally understand that block from when I was 10 years old, I couldn't understand why I kept kind of repeating the same thing over and over again. Now I get it and I can move forward and I can move on. So a lot of times we don't understand things in the moment, but I love to tell people that sometimes when you look back, you can connect the dots. And when you
Mhm.
connect the dots, you see the patterns. And so it's really important to do that. So you get the creative inspirations. You get like stories like, oh, I didn't remember why did we have that thing? Why did that happen? What was that about? You know, and all of a sudden you talk about a story. Like even yesterday, you and I were having a conversation with Jeff Young. We love Jeff Young. So you got to meet Jeff Young for the first time.
Which is
And you were
great.
talking, and it really was. It was a wonderful conversation. We should have recorded it only because it was so lovely, but we didn't record it because it was just personal. But we talked about the formation of our company and how, again, it's a connect the dots, that it's like
Mhm.
we went to a Tony Robbins thing. We came from two parts of the country. We had some ahas, and those things led to another thing that led to another thing. And that's how life is. Life is
Mhm.
always about all those little stories, all those little chapters that make the book that's you, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
There's no straight line. It's always these little teeny bumps. And journaling allows you to kind of take those, I like to call them verbal snapshots of who you are and where you are at a particular time in your life, because we get distance and we don't remember. You know, I journaled through COVID. I journaled the dark days. You know, I was writing about that today too. And I reminded myself that there was one particular week where I crashed. I was doing really, really well. And then all of a sudden I crashed because all of a sudden I thought, is the world ending? I truly didn't know. Like now it
Mhm.
seems stupid and silly, but at that particular moment, it was like every day that the death toll was rising, and there was this panic and this hysteria. And I remember I was waking up every morning checking the news. How many people had died? How many more cases did we have? And I was kind of getting sucked into the whole,
Mhm.
you know, fear. And the fear was so contagious. And I got really depressed and I crashed. But eventually, you know, a couple weeks, and I think I just had to go watch Netflix for a while and go somewhere else. But I think
Well, and you're having a harder time of it than even over here in the United States, because even though we're, asked to stay home and mask up and, which masking is now becoming second nature to me going out, I still can go to the grocery store. I can still get in the car and drive to Chicago if I so want. I can still get on a plane if I want. So we have a lot less restrictions. So it's really up to us whether we want to have cabin fever or not.
that's true. And
And
here,
you don't have a choice.
no,
You are
no,
going to have cabin fever, and you weren't able to upsize.
no. And I think also too, in all honesty, being in a foreign land, not being able to understand the language was a little frightening, because you just didn't feel like, oh, when we were stopped by the police, we didn't understand what they were saying as they were handing out tickets. We were like, okay, we just took the
Right,
ticket and
right.
ran.
Well, and you
But
and you went there to travel and visit all these wonderful places that you've thought about for years, and you've been there over a year now, and you haven't seen anything except your apartment. So terribly sad. One day you will. Just think
yeah,
about it. One day this will be over, and you will, because we always come out the other side of things.
and you have to focus, I think, on the gratitude of, like, appreciating the good that you're at, the great things in your life. And again, if you don't write it down, you don't remember. That
Mhm.
is, to me, I remember once I had a particular time in my life where I was, trying to focus on, the good in my life. And I remember keeping a gratitude journal. That's all
Mhm.
it was every day I would go to bed. Before I went to bed, I would list one thing I was grateful for. And there was always something, even if it was just like oh, that guy held the door for me, and it was just like, I really appreciated it. Or there's always good if you look for good. There's always
Mhm.
bad if you look for bad. But journaling allows you to, kind of thumb back through that and say, oh, wow, I did that. And a lot of times too, like a lot of people might think, I didn't accomplish anything this year. I didn't make any money. Maybe I made less money than I made any other year, but then maybe you learned some new skills, or maybe you discovered, you know what, I was able to do this and do that, and I kept my business afloat. Yeah, I didn't make any money, but I'm not bankrupt.
Right.
I'm still
Right.
here. I'm still standing, and that's good. That's good. So that's why it's so important to kind of have these journals where you write all this stuff down, these golden ideas that it's like, oh, I got the idea to do this. Even if it's like an idea for a LinkedIn post, it's like, wow, I should write a post about, going to the, store and, seeing, I don't know, chickens. I don't know. I'm making stuff up, but you know what I mean? Where you all of a
Mhm.
sudden have an idea. If you don't write it down, they say our short term, I read this today. They say our short term memory is 3 minutes.
Mm.
Minutes. So it's like, I remember once I saw fabulous TED Talk by Elizabeth Gilbert, who is the
Mhm.
Eat, Pray, and
Yeah,
Love.
I love
Is it
mhm.
Eat, Pray, Love woman? And fabulous book, great movie. I love the movie. And with Julia Roberts, really, really enjoyed that movie. And I remember she gave a TED Talk, and she was talking about creativity. And she was talking about how sometimes we get ideas and they just kind of like flash at us. But it's like if we don't write them down, they just kind of like start, floating away, floating away. And we're like, oh, wait, 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 wait. I'm trying to keep you. So that's why they say always, always have a pad of paper, a pen, write it
Mhm.
down. And if you write it down, you make it happen.
Well, I was gonna ask you a question. You're saying write it down. Is there a difference between writing it down and doing it on your computer? Like if
Oh,
you
absolutely, absolutely. And it is better to actually write in a physical journal, but that's not always possible. And sometimes so I use an online journal because right now I'm a digital nomad. So
but you could do
right.
you could if you did it on an iPad though, you could write it, right, with a
Yes.
stylus, so you don't
Yeah.
have to do the typing, which, with Penzu, they have an iPad version, I believe.
I don't know if it allows you to use an like a Apple Pencil.
Sty or
Yeah,
stylus?
I
I'll
don't
have to
know if
we'll
it
have to
allows
check
you.
that out. Here,
I don't know
let me get my
if
phone out.
yeah. But it's still good to record your thoughts, even if you write it and then type it, or if you're not going to do that, it's still better to type your
Yeah,
thoughts.
well, I
But
type faster than I write, so,
yeah,
you
and
know, and it
nowadays there's some people that don't connect with writing. They
yeah,
don't connect
yeah,
with writing.
and
And it looks like paper. That's what's so nice about Penzu. Like you
yeah.
have your like little, like on ours, we have like, I think we have like 6 journals. So we have personal
Mhm.
journals, business journals, we have shared journals. And if you want, you can password protect them and, do all sorts of stuff. But each one has its own separate cover. We have our
Mhm.
own paper so that when we go
Mhm.
inside, it's custom, it looks pretty. You can print it as a PDF, you can do all sorts of stuff. So even if you don't use a tool like Penzu, by the way, it's got a free forever plan, so you don't even have to spend money. But even if you don't use something like Penzu, journal, journal.
Mhm.
It's so important. It's such
Yeah,
a key thing for our
just
growth.
get a darn notepad. Just get
Yes.
a just get one of these.
Exactly,
I
exactly.
still have one of those. I write
I
everything down there. I might transfer it to my computer later, but I've still got a note.
I
Yeah.
I have always highly recommended. This is like an artist's sketchbook, and
Mhm.
so I like to use these because they're spiral bound, which makes it really easy to write in because you just
Mhm.
flip them over, and you can write in them. But go to any kind of artist supply store, and it's just a straight sketchbook, And you know what? It was interesting. The first time I got one of these, a friend bought me a journal. And these kind of journals don't have, let's see if
Do you
it
not
doesn't
have
have,
lines in
they
there?
don't have, it doesn't have lines. And I went,
Oh, wow.
oh my gosh, I can't use something that doesn't have lines. And
Yeah, I'll be writing like this.
And she said, but here's the kicker. Journals are for you. They're not, this is not your legacy that you leave behind your family. This is your crap on page. This is your thoughts, your good thoughts, your bad thoughts, everything. Always write a journal knowing that this is just for you. So it doesn't matter how you write. It doesn't matter if it's sloppy. It doesn't matter if you decide you're going to draw pictures, you're going to write in purple or pink or blue or whatever. This is for you. This is for you. So that's really important.
All right, so that's two really good things that we're talking about this year for documenting your thoughts for 2021. And I think that's really cool. Where's your banner? Can you bring your banner back up again?
Yes, I can. There we
There we
go.
go. So new tools for 2021, tracking your thoughts in an online journal. So we highly recommend this, obviously.
Yep.
Obviously, and I think that would be great to go to your groups and, you know, maybe do it individually and then meet together, sort of like, what do you call it when you know, what's the right word that I'm trying to say, where accountability.
Mastermind?
Yeah,
an accountability group.
yeah. Well, that you could be accountable to each other, that you actually did it, and you could share some thoughts about, you know, what you learned from the past and what you want for the future. So do it individually, and then maybe get a few friends together or business associates together to do that, or even employees. You know, different employees could do it together. Yeah,
Anybody.
and then family members, and then the other thing is, you know, we highly recommend Penzu. And I think you'll find it fun, and it's, you know, you can use it on your computer, and it's just a great tool, and we like it. And I can reference it. I can go back and I even put like passwords and stuff in there in mine. So
yeah,
it's all in one place.
Even if you just used it as a way to document your business, like, okay, I talked to Sam Elliott on Tuesday and we talked about this. And you can even set it up to nudge you of like, okay, you need to come back, and it'll send you an email and say, hey, you need to update your journal. So it's like, you can even put it on nag.
Put it on nag.
I
think that's great. How was your visit with Sam Elliott, by the way?
That was awesome. I wish.
I know. All right, Gillian, it's the end of the year. We got to wrap this up. We tried to keep everything to 30 minutes or less, and we're already at 32. So a little extra nudge for everybody about journaling for 2021.
And we wish everybody a happy new year, and we'll be right back here next year. Next year. See you next year.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to do a little group with us, you know, we could ask if anybody wants to do anything with us. We could have a little a Zoom session. Sandy
yeah, we blew it again with the comments. Okay. All right.
All right. Just stay a little longer.
Okay. Good. Oh, that's great. She's sending out an email about these ideas today. So that's really cool. We love Sandy. She's always popping in here.
She says, can you put the link in the chat? Yes,
okay,
we will.
Okay.
We will.
The link, yeah, we'll do that. I wish I could do that real quick. So here is the link. Let's see if that actually takes. And that is the link to the year compass. And I'm going to put the link into Penzu as well. See if I can do that. I'm trying here.
We're getting better at this. Well, you are. Since you're hosting it, I'm just sitting here.
Yeah. Okay.
Away.
And that was the link to Penzu Pro, but you can do free. There's a free forever plan. So that's good. Okay. So what else did Sandy said for the planner that you're discussing? Okay, good. and love the idea of doing that as a mastermind. That's fun. We got to have Sandy on this show. I think we're going to invite her to come on in January or February and see if she wants to come. Hello. Okay, so that's good.
Mohammed,
Okay, so
he said thank you for something.
Yep.
Hello, Mem.
Okay, awesome. We always love everybody popping by. So this was the link. Thank you, Shelly Elsliger, for sending that to me. So that was just so cool. I really, really enjoyed that. So we'll add in Shelly's post too, so that she gets that credit as well. So, okay, so we're on and off to 2021, and we'll see you back here next week on Tuesday. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.